VLC Network here with another product review, and this today in my hand is a new microphone from Comica, and this is the Vimo Q. It is a 4-channel wireless microphone system for mobile kits like DSLRs or anything else that takes a 3.5 millimeter or USB or anything that can adapt from 3.5 to anything else like RCA or XLR solution. This will give you up to 4 microphones and only 1 receiver. That's right, 4 microphones or transmitters and 1 receiver. So if you're using this with a mobile kit, using a DSLR or something, you only have 1 device plugged into your camera. That's it. You don't have to have multiple receivers, just 1. And you can have up to 4 people mic'd at the same time, all in a small package. This is something that's great for beginners or enthusiasts, looking to do interviews or vlogging or anything else that could really benefit from using small, simple, inexpensive lavalier solutions. Instead of using brands like Shure or Sennheiser that can run you many hundreds of dollars or even thousands of dollars, this will only run you $250, which is a huge savings, especially if it sounds good. Like many of these mobile kits, it comes with a charging case that they all go into, and it keeps them charged. So when you're not using them or in between interviews or anything else you're using them for, this will keep them charged. That way you can keep using them throughout the day. They have up to 8 hours of use in a single unit and up to 16 hours of use if you continuously use the charging case until it can charge no more. So that's up to 16 hours for each of these, or just up to 8 hours with a single use without putting them back in the case. And although the case has a little bit of weight to it, it's not too bad, but does have some weight to it, and most of these do. The actual packs themselves, or really the transmitters themselves, are relatively light, at only 16 grams each. So you don't have to worry about a lot of weight like a typical lavalier pack would hanging off of somebody, or especially if you're having to mic anybody in a weird way, like across the back through a bra strap, where weight can become some form of a distraction to the person wearing it. So at only 16 grams per unit, they're pretty light. And of course, like most of these mobile kits, it offers a slew of options, including stereo mode and mute options, and a cool feature that most of these are starting to offer over the last year or two, which is some form of digital noise cancellation or environmental cancellation that allows you to cancel out some of that noise around you. They're specifically calling it CalMix, C-A-L-M-I-X, CalMix, and it's their smart noise removal. So you have some of those familiar options you find in these mobile kits, plus some of those new modern options, such as that noise or environmental noise cancellation, so you can clean up some of the space around you and focus on just the voice that you're trying to capture, and not the barking dog across the street, or the big group of people walking by, or cars driving by, or anything else that might be distracting to the viewer. And it provides up to 24-bit 48 kilohertz audio. So it should sound pretty good because it's using a decent compression that doesn't sacrifice a lot on your audio quality, which means your audio should be clean. Now, I did mention that this can connect to just about anything that supports 3.5 millimeter or can be adapted from 3.5 millimeter to something else, or USB-C. And the reason why I mention USB-C is because it can go between analog or digital. So if you have a camera or anything else that this can connect to, analog-wise, you can do that. Now, if you have something digital, like a laptop or a smartphone or anything like that, that uses USB-C, it can do that as well. So you have that option between analog and digital. The receiver has built-in headphone monitoring capability, so that way you can monitor directly from the unit itself in case whatever you're plugging into doesn't have live monitoring. And it gives the user the option to choose between the built-in microphone. These transmitters they have mics built into them, so you don't have to plug anything into them. The transmitter can just clip to somebody's shirt and you're ready to go. Or you can plug in a lavalier microphone and use that instead. Use that like we're using here with a Sennheiser pack and a lavalier running up through the shirt. So you have that option as long as you have some 3.5 millimeter lavaliers on hand. It offers up to 200 meters of distance and less than 20 milliseconds of latency. So you're not going to notice anything, shouldn't notice anything, at least between what you're watching and what you're listening to. So again, $250. There's a lot going for this. We're going to open this up, we're going to see what it looks like, and then we're going to plug it in and see what it sounds like. So you do get some documentation here, which is of course going to consist of a manual and some bonus items. You have a QR code, so you can find them online. You have a little QC pass thing, just show that it's passed quality assurance checks. You have a warranty card. You have some Comica stickers in case you want to place them on some of your Pelican cases or anything else you place your stickers on. And then, of course, you have that manual, which you're going to want to read if you've never used one of these before, because this is going to walk you through setting everything up, adjusting, understanding how the menu works, and so forth. And then you have the charging case, which it's actually a semi-soft shell case. So it's a protective case that can actually take some bumps. So if you throw this into a backpack or a bag or anything like that and things are shuffling around, you're not going to be worried so much about things slamming into this. It's not like one hard surface hitting another hard surface. This is actually giving you some kind of an impact protection, which is pretty cool. So really, it just looks like a semi-hard shell, should I say, not semi-soft, soft, but semi-hard shell, but it has built-in charging. So that's unique, and it's not something we're used to seeing with a lot of these mobile kits that come into us. But on the side here, you have a USB-C port, which is used for charging it. You have a button here that you can press to see this charge status with 4 LEDs, so we only have 3 out of 4 lit up, so it means this is about 75% charged coming into us. And then, of course, you have this little latch here if you want to hang it on to something. Now, when you open this up, you have some storage up here, and this is going to be for just storing some of your cables and everything else it comes with, and it's just an elastic kind of storage setup they got going here. We'll dig some of these out. Now, of that, you have some cables here. You have a TRS to TRRS connection here, and this is going to be one end plugs into this. The other one's going to plug into a device that supports TRRS, or tip ring sleeve. So this is going to be something that supports both microphones and headphones within the same jack. So that way it knows how it's using the device that's being plugged into it. This means smartphones, tablets, laptops, or anything else that just has that singular 3.5 millimeter jack that can do all of the above. And then you have a 3.5 millimeter TRS to just regular 3.5 millimeter TRS, which is for anything else that just has a normal microphone input. So some of your older laptops or external audio solutions or computers, anytime you have a separate jack that's specifically for microphones, that's what this cable is going to be for, or pretty much most commonly, you're going to use this for things like DSLRs. Then you have a singular USB to USB-C cable here. That's going to be used for charging it from that port that I had highlighted there. And you only need this because everything charges together. So your case and all the units will charge as they're all plugged in or inserted into the case. And then you can pop the end off here and it reveals another USB-C connection. So if you want to charge via USB-C to USB-C, you have that option as well. And then you have 4 windscreens here that are for the transmitters, and they simply just plug right into the top of the transmitter. There's a little hole here that slides into place, locks into place just like that, and this protects you from, or at least reduces some of the potential wind that could be around you if you're recording outside, or let's just say you have a subject that you're miking that is just a heavy breather. That will help reduce that so you can get cleaner audio. Now, the USB cable can also be used to charge the transmitters individually. Each one has a USB-C port there, or you can just keep them plugged in while in use, so you don't even have to worry about the battery. So if your setup is static, you're not mobile or anything, and you have access to an outlet nearby, you can record all day with these without ever having to worry about the battery dying. And then, of course, the receiver, if you plug it into this and plug the other end into a computer, since it supports USB-C devices or your mobile device or smartphone or anything like that, plug this into it, you'll be able to use this with that via USB instead of having to rely on 3.5 millimeter analog connections. Now, looking at the receiver, it's a very simple square-shaped receiver. And, it's small, it's very light, it barely has any weight to it, so it's not going to weigh down your rig in any way, which is important if you're shooting from something more simple like a smartphone. You have a USB-C port, as mentioned, which will be used for charging this individually or just keeping it powered or connecting it to a device that supports USB-C audio. And then on the side here, you have 2 3.5 millimeter connections for these cables. You have, one's for these cables. You have that 3.5 out, which is going to go to your camera or to your smartphone or laptop, depending on which cable you have to use. The other one is your live headphone monitoring, so you can actually wear headphones and listen live to what this is picking up. And then on this side, you have two buttons. You have a power button and mode button, and then you have a screen flip button, which is also your pairing button as well if you need to pair to any of these. Now switching modes, that's going to switch you between mono and stereo mode. So some of these will be in the left channel, some of these will be in the right channel. If you're in stereo mode, if you're in mono mode, all four of these will be in both channels at all times. So which mode you choose depends on what you're going to shoot with, because maybe you're going to edit this later, or maybe you're not. Or maybe you just want to be prepared for post-edit if you are editing later on, so that way you don't have mixed audio levels that are hard to deal with. If you have things separated into two different channels, you can raise one separately and deal with that as needed without affecting the levels of the other microphones, or at least half the microphones. These are also used to manage your way through the menu system, which can be viewed from this nice little screen on the front. And you have a clip on the back, which is used to clip this to your rig, however which way you need to clip it to your rig. And one of the most common ways, if you're using a DSLR or anything similar to a DSLR, is this will slide into a cold or a hot shoe. So it just slides right in, that'll hold it in place, and then you just connect it to your camera and go. Now the transmitters are smaller, they're incredibly light. Like I said, these are 16 grams a piece. They have that USB port or USB-C port on there, and you also have some additional controls. So one of these is going to be your power button, which also acts as your mute button. So you press and hold to turn it on or turn it off, or single press to mute the microphone, so that way you can just click and you're muted, so you can continue talking without worrying about that being picked up by your camera. Your next one is a volume up and also a denoise button. Denoise is going to be your CalMix, your smart noise removal option. And the other button is going to be volume down and pairing to trigger pairing mode, so it can pair to this in case you lose one of these and have to buy a new one. So these are already going to be paired, so you don't have to worry about that right out of the box. Now the top here, you're going to have two microphone options. As mentioned, you have the built-in microphone, and you also have that 3.5mm jack to go to any wired lav that you want to hook up to this. Again, you're going to have to provide that yourself because it does not come with a wired lav, so that's a bit of an upsell. You can buy these from Comica, or you can buy them from other brands as well. You can even use a Sennheiser or Shure lavalier, most likely, as long as it's 3.5mm and not the Mini XLR. Now again, all of them, they all slide into this case for charging. So when you're not using them, it'll keep this charged, and you'll be ready to go next time you open it up, as long as the case has a charge. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to plug this in, and we're going to give it a listen to see what it sounds like. So now what you're listening to is the Comica Vimo Q. This is one of the 4 transmitters, since, well, there's just one of me. And this is what it sounds like when you're using it as the lavalier. No microphone connected to it. In addition to it, it's just the transmitter itself is the lavalier. And again, this is what my voice sounds like. So it's going to be pretty crisp and clear, and it's also going to pick up everything around us. Now, this is a controlled environment, and it's not going to pick up everything around you, but it is going to be a little bit possibly more sensitive. It depends on really if you're going to use the external mic, which mic you use with it. But for what you're getting here, it's going to be relatively good. You just got to be mindful about the noise around you. Of course, that's not too much of an issue because it has smart noise removal. So we're going to hit that button really quick. So now I have pressed the denoise button, and the light on the front has gone from blue to green, which should mean that denoise is turned on. And it doesn't really say it in the instructions in terms of which is blue and which is green, but since it defaulted to blue, we're going to assume that we are now in denoise with green enabled. So now this is going to kind of filter out some of the noise around us. Now, obviously, there's not a lot of noise in here because it is a controlled environment, but what I'm going to do is just do some office noise, kind of just general ambience of office noises to see what it would sound like with office noises. And it's a little bit loud. We'll turn that down. So this is more of a kind of a more natural kind of level for office noise that's playing from this phone right here. And you shouldn't really hear it as much. Now I'm going to take denoise and turn it back off. Now the light has gone from green back to blue, and you're probably going to hear some of that noise coming from the phone. most likely. And maybe not. Maybe even with denoise turned off, you might be able to filter out some of that, but denoise is supposed to take care of that. But again, right now we have denoise turned off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in a lavalier microphone and see what it sounds like with a wired lavalier connected to it. So now I have it connected to the same lavalier that was on me using the other Sennheiser solution that we were using. So this is the Comica with the Sennheiser microphone, and this is what it sounds like. And it actually sounds pretty good. Actually, both cases sound pretty good for what you're paying for this. $250 for a 4-pack kit for your DSLR or anything else. $250 is a pretty good price tag. It does sound pretty good, so you could and should be able to use this in busy situations and or controlled situations when it comes to noise around you, but also more so what's important is it's not just a beginner's microphone. So it is, in a way, if you're not looking to spend a lot of money and you need to keep to an affordable budget, this is a good option for you if you need 4 microphones. But at the same time, if you're an enthusiast or even a prosumer of any kind, you could easily find this in your inventory in addition to whatever other gear that you use, because it simply sounds pretty good for what you're paying for. Now, personally, I like to always use a lavalier or wired lavalier mic when connected to a transmitter. It just looks cleaner than having a plastic thing hanging off somebody's shirt. However, when you're out and about, sometimes it's just easy to pop one of these out and just place it on somebody and run with your recording. So that way you don't have to worry about running a lavalier down their shirt or anything. It's just plug and play. So it offers the best of both those worlds. So no matter what, they have you covered, except for the wired mic, since you have to buy that yourself. But if you already have some, then you're good to go. And one thing I didn't mention, which I completely skipped, is when you take these out, it should automatically connect to the receiver. When you place them back in, they should automatically turn off and start charging. And the only reason why they're not doing that now is because it does come with a little protective thing. So you have to, when you first buy these, remove the little tab off the back that's covering the little contacts. And then when you place it in the charger, it will start charging. But that's it. Again, Comica Vimo Q, a 4-channel wireless microphone kit for whatever you can plug it into that supports 3.5 millimeter or 3.5 millimeter to something else, or USB-C if you choose to go digital. $250, this is a pretty decent microphone. You're still listening to it right now. Of course, I have a microphone plugged into it. I'll go ahead and unplug that real quick. And now you're listening to just the unit itself, slid onto my shirt with no wired mic plugged into it. Once again, sounds good. So $250, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have some information in the description on where you can find this microphone, where you can find it online. And we'll have some additional information if anything pops up in our minds as well in the description, as well as maybe a pinned comment below. Now, if you liked what you've seen here, don't forget to subscribe and follow us. And of course, tick that like button so that we know that you liked this specific video. And definitely make use of the comments in case you have any questions or anything else you'd like to share with us, with each other, or of course the manufacturer if they are watching. And as always, we thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time. If you want to stay on top of all the latest and greatest, and or at least the gadgets we cover, remember to subscribe right here. Subscription button. Click it. You're going to want to. There's lots of videos, interviews, previews, all sorts of stuff. Button. Click it.